What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Buffalo Blitz right here on the Built in Buffalo Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter network. Appreciate everyone that is clicking on this on any platforms. If you guys do miss this episode, you can re-watch this or listen to this tomorrow morning, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Odyssey, or wherever you get your podcast. Guys, if you can tell by the title, Final Bills Draft Preview. It's our last show before the NFL Draft on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. You guys will hear from Lance and I next Tuesday again as we recap the NFL Draft, what the Bills did, maybe what they didn't do, what we liked, what we didn't like, all that kind of fun stuff, a little recap. But Lance, one, how you doing, man? And two, how does it feel that you and I kind of can wrap up, maybe it's bittersweet, wrap up our draft coverage that we've probably been talking about for the last, would you say, month and a half?
Yeah, I know. One of the things we're talking about off the camera here is just, a lot of regurgitating of some of the same things here and there. And that's kind of the nature of the time this year. And it's good, feels good that like this is the last time we have to talk about projection and, what I would say is conjecture. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Nobody knows what spot one guy is going to fall to or not. It's all projection, and we'll see what really happens once the draft gets kicked off and when it's live and people are making the moves for real. Anything can happen, and that's what's exciting about this. And I get excited this time of year because it's all the possibilities are on the table. And we'll talk about some of the things we think might happen and all that. And that's our opinion, and everyone else has their own, and that's cool. But yeah, I'm having fun with it, and so I appreciate comments. Keep it fun, keep it light. I guarantee you don't know anything more than the next person, and let's just have a fun show.
Either.
That's fun.
Yeah, we don't know anything either. We have no insight on anything the Bills are doing Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. But like we talked off air and what you just mentioned, I'm ready to get past, and we're gonna do one to end the show because you have to. But like I'm done with the simulators. I'm done with talking about the receivers at 28. Are they trading up? Are they trading back? Like it gets a little much. I love the draft, but when you do a show once a week, when you're on tweeting all the time for a month and a half, and look, this is our choice. Like we choose to do this. No one's forcing us to talk about the Bills, and we enjoy it. But it's time to wrap it up. It's time to get to work and see who the new members of the Buffalo Bills will be. I guess Saturday night officially will be the final time. And obviously the UDFAs are coming in. But guys, comment section, Facebook, YouTube, like Lance said, keep it light, keep it fun. Ask us questions. We have a lot to get to, but we're going to try to get to some of your comments as always because there's so much to talk about heading into Thursday. And also, hopefully you guys enjoyed Dan Fates last week. In the second half of the show. If you guys didn't check that out, you can go back on wherever you're listening or watching. You can just go back maybe about a week on that platform, and you can find that interview with Dan Fates, the second half of the hour show. Gave us a lot of great insight into maybe what potentially the Bills could be doing on Thursday and later rounds of the NFL draft. But Lance, without further ado, we have a lot to talk about. Facebook, YouTube, drop comments throughout the night. One prospect at each position the Bills should target. And yes, we're going to bring up a quarterback. We're going to bring up a tight end. We're not bringing up a punter or a kicker because I said so. Lance,
I don't even know anything about any kickers.
I couldn't tell you a single punter or kicker in this draft. And look, if the Bills get an extra, if the Bills want to take a punter in the 7th round after taking 9 guys already or 10 guys, I'm not going to really complain. They're not taking a kicker, but they could take a punter, I guess. What do you got for one prospect at each position the Bills should target? Let's start with quarterback, Lance.
Yeah, obviously we do not need a starting quarterback by any means, but if you're talking about a guy like Joe Milton, who is said to, need a lot to become a starting quarterback in this league, we don't need him to become a starting quarterback. If we have a young guy that can sit and learn and be a backup for 3-4 years and consistent, and then see where it goes from there. Doesn't think he's going to take the job from Josh Allen because you have to realize you're probably not going to, but if something happens, you got to be able to come in and hopefully perform. And uh, we'll see. I think that Milton has a chance to come in and his knocks are things that can be coached and help process and develops the instinct and accuracy he needs to be a successful quarterback in the NFL. I think that it just would be a nice look for a guy who's also mobile, just like Josh Allen, and kind of fits kind of the Bills style. And we don't, like I said, don't need a quarterback by any means, but
Mm-hmm.
for the nature of the exercise, I just thought it would be fun to mention Joe Milton III and see if he's available late in the draft. You've already taken 7, 8 guys, and he's there. Um, see what he can do. At least get him into camp.
No, I agree. I think I'm not against the Bills taking a developmental, like you said, quarterback on day 3 of the draft because I think they haven't really done that. They did with Jake Fromm a couple years ago, and that really didn't pan into anything, but they really haven't taken that developmental guy. John Robert in the comment section, Peter's happy that Jalen McMillan came for an interview. Of course, I'm happy that Jalen McMillan came for an interview. He might be the prospect I talk about when we get to the receiver prospect. The quarterback I'm going to quickly touch on, Keaton Slovis from BYU, right? I think Joe Milton's probably the guy I would go, but Lance took him, so I'm going to go Keaton Slovis from BYU. Had a stop at USC as well as of BYU. Another guy with a big arm, developmental. I think he's super accurate. Played in 2 legit college systems, and a guy that could come in will be on probably day 3. He might be a little higher than Joe Milton potentially, but a guy that will come in on day 3 and could be a productive
Right.
backup quarterback and maybe develop into a guy that one day becomes the backup. Because right now, even in year 1, you're not the backup. If God forbid, I'm knocking on wood, Josh Allen goes down for a game or 2, it's Mitch Trubisky for a game or 2. It's not, if they go in a quarterback on day 3, they won't even be that quarterback,
Right.
most likely. So this is a guy that can sit, can develop, and maybe turn into eventually a backup developmental quarterback, which we haven't really seen from the Bills. Lance, a running back, maybe a position, maybe more Bills fans would want to be targeting potentially, maybe even as early as day 2. I've seen some mock drafts, but a position that day 3 people have been targeting a lot. When I mean people that do draft simulators and mock drafts. Lance,
Mhm.
what's one running back maybe the Bills should be targeting in this draft?
I went with a guy like Kendall Milton.
Mm-hmm.
His profile kind of reads perfectly for that complementary back where, you're not going to ask him to do more than he's capable of. Hand him the ball and let him go straight forward. And, that's the kind of compliment you need to James Cook. So I think, keeping the Georgia connection going there and a guy like Kendall Milton on day 3 would be a great pickup for the Bills.
Kendall Milton's a guy that I think I have a little higher than most, and I think we've seen how productive Georgia running backs have been in the past in the National Football League. Todd Gurley, Nick Chubb, James Cook, Zamir White's in line potentially to start for the Raiders this year. Georgia running backs have been very good over the years, so I think adding another one and another big kind of back. I'm going to stick with kind of that big
Wait,
prototype.
before we move on, sorry. The one thing that I didn't mention about him is plus pass blocking skills. And we know, based upon Latavius Murray's usage last year, uh, they the Bills definitely value a plus pass blocking type back. So
Yeah,
definitely one of those guys you look to get in the building and see what he can do, especially as a camp body at best or at worst, and then see hopefully he can make the team.
yeah, and look, the Bills have a need at running back, Lance. They have Ty Johnson and they have James Cook. They left that spot open for a rookie running back to come in. Look, could be another. Could they add a running back in June? 100%. But for the time being, it is enough to speculate that they will be adding a running back sometime in the NFL draft. And I think a running back that they should be targeting, someone they've had in for a visit, someone that people like, Audric Estime from Notre Dame. I have him as a 4th/5th round running back. I think he could potentially even probably go a little higher. But Lance, I said off the air, the Bills have that change of pace back. They have the speed back. They have the guys that can catch the ball out of the backfield, and Ty Johnson and obviously James Cook. They do not have that physically pounding brute running back that 3rd and 1 from the 4-yard line, you can give it to him, right? Because that's not really James Cook's role, and that's not really Ty Johnson's role. Audric Estime, just go Google him on Twitter. Search him up on Twitter. Go on YouTube, watch him. This guy is just full of strength. He's a huge body. I think he fits the Bills exactly. And Lance, I don't know if Estime ever projects to be a guy that can take 18 to 20 carries a game, but I don't think he would come in Buffalo and have to do that, right? I think 5 to 7 to 8 carries, short yardage kind of guy. I think it would add a nice element to this team. So I think Audric Estime would be a very good ad for the Bills. Lance, receiver. This is obviously the most talked about position. I would say, what is this? Our second year doing the show, right? Together. And we did the draft. I don't think we had a position when you and I broke down the draft last year, right? Obviously, they went Kincaid, they went Torrance. Lance, would you say we even talked about a position this much as we did last year?
No, I don't think so. I think this is like the 100% like biggest need since Elam being drafted at corner. We knew we needed a corner that year.
Yeah,
and
I would say that. Yeah,
so same kind of concept there. But yeah, this is it's all everybody's talking about. It's all over the radio. It's all over social media, and I'm sure TV too. And I just think that we'll get into more of our thoughts on the wide receiver position, but my biggest thought for this position is Rome Odunze, and I just think that he's the one that's fit for the Bills the best. And I understand he may not be attainable. Through all these positions, I'm going by who I think the Bills could actually get and positions they're being drafted potentially. It's not super likely that the Bills get Rome Odunze, but it's possible. I think you put out a mock earlier that had him fall to 12 and Bills trading up there to get him, and everyone's going to say he's not getting past 9. I get it. Nobody knows what's going to happen, and we'll see. But if he does fall outside of the top 10 by any means, I think that, and even if not, the Bills could still pull the trigger to get to 9 and get him. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But I just wanted to mention, my receiver of choice, the number one person, guy that I think would fit the Bills the best is Rome Odunze.
I didn't put that mock draft out. Pro Football Talk put that mock draft out. Maybe I did. I don't think I did. They had Rome Odunze falling to 12, and the Bills trade up with Denver, right?
It though. Yeah. Okay.
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Hey, I'm joking. I know I didn't retweet it, but it's all good. I liked it, if that counts. I liked it. Maybe.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I commented under someone that quote tweeted it. If you might, that's what you might have seen.
That's what I saw.
Because yep. And I commented under one of my friends who's a Patriots fan. I commented because he was mad that they took J.J. McCarthy and then passed up on Brian Thomas Jr. for Kool-Aid McKinstry and their trade back, whatever. And I commented #Bills Mafia with a Rome Odunze little gif. So yeah, you're almost there. Yeah, traded with the Denver, right? Like, and he's a guy that obviously the Bills would have to go do some moving up for, right? Like, he's not falling to most likely not 28. But it was reported today, or I saw a couple of people circulating, some people expect 6 to 7 trades potentially on day one of the draft. A lot of movement depending on, like, Lance, right? Like, if Denver doesn't get their quarterback in J.J. McCarthy at 12, they might be looking to move out, right? Like, that could be a team that could move out. The Bills could be moving up. Raiders at 13, they don't get their quarterback that maybe they potentially want. The Bills go up and get him, right? It also depends. I think the Bears probably at 9 is probably where Rome Odunze probably goes. There's been some speculation with that today with him and Caleb Williams. The Jets probably don't pass up on him, so let's hope he doesn't go to the Jets. That would be very disappointing.
Right.
I would much rather them take Brock Bowers than Rome Odunze or Malik Neighbors. But yeah, I like Rome Odunze. I think everyone likes Rome Odunze. I think that'd be a home run selection for the Bills. I would say a receiver that the Bills should target in this draft. I would say A.D. Mitchell, right? He's a guy that he's my favorite prospect in this draft. And I know there's a lot of mixed feelings about him. His little bit of health concerns that have showed up the last couple weeks, his potentially playing his effort on some downs at Texas. Dan Fates didn't have a problem with it last week when we talked about it. I don't have a problem with it. And I think the Bills, like Rome Odunze, right, fit the need of a guy. They need an X, right? They need an X receiver. They need a big body receiver that can make jump balls, that can take the top off the defense. And I think A.D. Mitchell fits that mold. But Lance, and I know we got to take it with a grain of salt. We'll get to this later, but Brandon Beane did say they maybe like they're moving towards a receiver that's more of a yak, right? And they're going west that those type of alpha receivers, and they're kind of changing up their philosophy on offense, which maybe they move towards an Xavier Worthy pick or a Ladd McConkey pick, right? Like that. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but that could be leaning towards potentially that. And that also is reading into what Brandon Beane said. Which you got to take for a grain of salt, just because he's not going to tell you exactly what they're doing in a press conference.
Yeah, and based on the Bills embedded they put out today, Khalil Shakir was running some routes on the outside during his training, so it seems like they're potentially looking at him to be a guy that's going to do some things outside.
They're
I'm
going
not
to,
saying they're going to look to him to
yeah.
be the answer, but I think that they may lean on him more than people might want them to.
And John Roberts, right? Yes, they did bring in Leggett for a private workout today. So that is another thing to keep in mind. And we'll talk about what the Bills potentially will do at 28 down the road in the show. Lance, position that probably is the least amount talked about position, just based off who they have on the roster. But tight end. If the Bills brought in a tight end in this draft, this also could be a potential UDFA guy, which they probably will do. Who are you targeting maybe in this draft?
I'm only targeting him because he's athletic and he's got the same name as Dawson, and that's Trey Knox out of South Carolina. 6'5", 237. Huge athleticism. Only dropped 2 of his 39 catchable balls last season. So I think that, Trey Knox is a fun idea because his name's Knox. Why not bring another Knox here?
Yeah, I have a 6th to 7th round grade on him, so potentially a guy that could slip into the UDFA pool, and I think that fits. Another guy that I have a late day 3 grade on out of Arizona, Tanner McMillan, a kid that I saw a video today, Lance. Someone popped up, was doing a podcast, said he was their 3rd graded tight end in this class. That also could speak on to where this level of tight end it is. It's Brock Bowers, it's Jatavian Sanders, who's probably a round 2 guy, and it's a lot of what ifs at this draft, right? And I think Theo Johnson out of Penn State could be a very good player, but he's probably more of a day 2 guy, and the Bills just don't fit that. A guy that maybe could be a guy that could replace Quentin Morris, right? Like that's what you were probably potentially looking for if you want a tight end. It's not a need because I think Quentin Morris is totally capable and has proven to be a solid tight end 3. But Tanner McMillan from Arizona is a guy that maybe we can talk about. Yeah, John. Lance just said that. Shakir playing a little outside. Kincaid will be a focal point of the offense inside. I think the Bills' offense, and obviously we'll talk about this down the road, but it could be an offense that we see, depending on what they do Thursday, right? If they go get Brian Thomas Jr., Rome Odunze, right? Like it changes our perception of it, but they could be doing a lot of different things on offense. We know Joe Brady relies and likes to use the guys yards after catch. Shakir fits that. Curtis Samuel fits that. Dalton Kincaid fits that. We'll see if they go towards that direction on Thursday night, which, like I just mentioned, leans towards Xavier Worthy, Ladd McConkey, those type of receivers. Lance, interior O-line, a guy. This is a pick where if the Bills have an extra potentially 2nd round pick, they could be targeting this. They could even be targeting interior O-line at 60 if they really feel the need. But Lance, one interior O-line, do you think the Bills should be targeting in this draft?
Yeah, I think Hunter Norzad out of Penn State is just a guy that they have to look at. Just very well rounded and can be had. You have him as 4th or 5th round grade. Probably can get to day 3. Let's hope, and if not, someone maybe the Bills could sneak into the end of the 3rd round for if they thought they really wanted him. Played in some high profile games, graded out well. Like I mentioned, did play a little bit all over the line at Penn State. Tackle mostly in 21, and then mostly left guard in 22, and all center in 23. So it's kind of played across the line there. Get him in with Cromer in this offense. I think he's a guy that can do a lot of good things.
I would like for the Bills to draft a guy that can play the guard, that can play the center position, right? Like a guy that can kind of do both. And I think that kind of fits. One guy I want to mention, just because of his name, Keaton Bills out of Utah.
Gotta have him.
Do I have to explain why the Bills should have him?
You gotta have him.
And I feel like you have to get a jersey of his name being Bills on the Bills.
If they draft Keaton Bills and he
Oh
makes
my
the roster, I will own that jersey.
Yes, and obviously he's a day 3 guy, so there's a
I'll
chance he
buy
doesn't make the
you one
roster.
too, because I know you're
I
just
appreciate
starting
that.
out there. You know,
I appreciate that. I'll take it. He's not a guy. I haven't done much research on him. He's not the guy I would be targeting, but could be. There's a couple options. I like Tanner Bortolini, just because also that name is really fun to say. Out of Wisconsin, a guy that can play guard, the guy that can play center. Bo Limmer from Arkansas, maybe he's a little higher in that 3rd round grade, but I think he could fall. We've seen him fall a couple times in some drafts, simulators to the 4th round. Those type of guys, right, that can play the center position, that can play the guard position. And obviously Jackson Powers Johnson comes to name, but I don't know if the Bills would be in the market for that. But look, 28, no receivers on the board. Jackson Powers Johnson. I know Lance won't be too disappointed just because of how good he is. And I think I did a podcast on my other podcast. We broke down the draft, right? We did a simulator, and I made the claim that I think Jackson Powers Johnson is probably the safest pick in this draft. Outside of like taking like a top 5 talent, but a guy that I think no matter what is going to have an 8 to 10 year career and is going to be a really good player. Might not be a superstar, but I think he's going to be a really good player. So I think he's probably the safest pick in this draft. Like you're going to get a guy that's going to be productive if it's at the guard position, if it's at the center position. So, but yeah, I would expect a day 3 offensive lineman, interior offensive lineman. I would definitely expect that. Lance, an offensive tackle that the Bills could be targeting or should be targeting.
Cheat a little bit because I'm going to say Mason McCormick out of San Diego State. I think he can
Mm-hmm.
play inside or outside. So I want to give him a mention. If you're talking true tackle, I'm going to go Christian Jones out of Texas. I think the position he can be drafted in, and the way he has had a lot of experience at Texas is lending itself well to, be a potential pick where the Bills could strike gold, so to speak.
I like it. We've drafted a couple times Mason McCormick, Lance, just because he can play the tackle position. He can play the guard position as well. I like that. I would say Javon Foster out of Missouri, just because I think he has his frame, I think, is off the charts. And I've watched a couple videos of people kind of talking about him and where he projects. And I think he's a developmental offensive lineman, and most of the offensive linemen or the tackles that the Bills would be potentially targeting would kind of be that kind of developmental one, just because where they potentially could be taking a tackle. But a guy that's 6'5.5", 313 pounds, kind of, I think he fits the frame, and I think he'd turn into a pretty solid tackle for the Buffalo Bills out of Missouri. And yeah, his 40 time was 5'3", nothing special, but at 6'5.5", 313 pounds, well, I don't know what you expect really out of that kind of weight. Okay, Lance, defensive side of the ball, an edge rusher maybe the Bills should be targeting in this draft.
My favorite edge rusher is going to be Jared Verse from Florida State, just with his story. But for the Bills, I think in a way, we've talked about it since the Senior Bowl, really. Adisa Isaac is going to be that more attainable level, maybe a 2nd-round pick there. He may go before 60, though, so it may not be necessarily attainable for the Bills to get at 60. But if they're able to, move around the board enough, or if Isaac falls to them at 60, it's a guy that I could see them taking, and I think he fits well with what they want to do here on defense.
Yeah, I think when you're looking at edge, I just had a voice crack right there. But when you look at I'm still going through puberty over here at age 23. When you're looking at edge rushers, Lance, like you said, a guy that is more obtainable, right? Like Jared Verse, Dallas Turner, probably not where the Bills are picking. I'm a little scared about Latu from UCLA with that thing. John Roberts, right? I'm not going to mention him, but Nealon from what's his name? Marshawn Nealon from where's he from? Western Michigan. It's right in front of me. Yeah. Marshawn Nealon from Western Michigan. I tried to find on my big board right in front of him. A guy in round 2 that we could be targeting as well. But Lance, I think you know where I'm going with this, and I'm going with Brandon Dorless out of Oregon, a guy that can play D-end, can play the defensive tackle position. We've talked about it last week, being and McDermott love those guys that can kind of rotate, that can kind of do different types of things. And he has the prototypical build that we've seen the Bills draft in the past. And when you see that, when that kind of jumps off the board to you, he's a guy I think the Bills should be looking at. And I think Brandon Doylis would be great. We talked about Marshawn Nealon last week, a guy of high motor. That's 100% a guy that the Bills should be targeting. So, John, you're 100% on that board. A guy that could be available at 60 that the Bills could be sinking their teeth in and selecting. But Adisa Isaac, Brandon Doylis, both guys I like. The edge class is weird. It's a weird edge class this year. You know what I mean? It's a different type of edge class. A lot of uncertainty, in my opinion, but a lot of talent on the board.
Yeah, for sure.
One defensive tackle, Lance. What are we thinking?
Jordan Jefferson's my guy that I'm looking at. I just want a big body that can really stuff up some stuff on the interior. And, I think that just be a guy that I think you can be had day 3 and not have to worry about it. And you get a big body in the middle.
Brandon Fisk is what's up, Robbie? Brandon Fisk is a guy that the Bills have shown a little bit of.
Fisk, yep.
You remember when I said I messed up his name that one time, and I'm gonna mess up his name forever?
Yep.
Yeah, his name is definitely changed for me forever. There's a couple guys here. Jordan Jefferson. Lance has a man crush on him. So once he gets drafted to the Patriots, Lance will be very sad, but his wife will be very happy. So can't always be happy, Lance, over there. Mason Smith out of LSU, right? A guy that's been on a visit for the Bills. For some reason, LSU defensive tackles are just coming at us right now. Mekhi Wingo, Jordan Jefferson, and Mason Smith. I think Mason Smith, I love defensive tackle, Lance, in the 4th round. I think that is the bread and butter of where the Bills should be targeting. I think that's kind of the cream of the crop, in my opinion, for the defensive tackle position. I think Mason Smith out of LSU, that big kind of body defensive tackle that we've talked about probably 80,000 times on the show, it fits that. So Jordan Jefferson, Mason Smith, Mekhi Wingo, Leonard Taylor, a lot of options that the Bills can do, and they don't have to maybe potentially target a guy early in the draft because I still think there's talent down the roads.
And that's not to say that any of those guys at the top of the draft wouldn't be great.
No, yeah.
And pair them with Ed Oliver. I think it goes more to our draft philosophies and understanding that the top of the board needs to be a different position other than D tackle. I mean, I would definitely love, guys like Newton and Murphy or Fisk. Not sure about Sweat anymore because of his off-the-field issues, but
that doesn't scream Bills.
Okora, who's a 3rd-round grade on Peter DiBiasi's big board. Those kind of guys would be great, but I just those assets to get those guys probably be well suited to be spent other places.
John, you're right. T'Vondre Sweat, Lance, I think early in the draft process, you and I talked about him a lot. I think I agree with you. I think the off-the-field stuff kind of maybe makes the Bills stay away. One thing that's really unfortunate, he fits what the Bills really could use. Really could use. Look, I guess if he falls to a certain spot, if they're okay with taking, they could roll the dice. But we've talked about taking him at 60 before. That's probably, I don't think, in the cards, in my opinion, anymore. Okay.
We talked about Christian Boyd in the inside as well, similar
they had a visit
to Jordan Jefferson. He's just from a smaller school, maybe didn't go against all the, had high grades in college, but didn't go against all the talent that Jordan Jefferson probably faced throughout his college career. So that's why I lean towards Jordan Jefferson, just in case anybody's wondering. I know Boyd is probably the preferred player based upon visits and stuff like that.
McKinley Jackson, as well as someone that I've mocked a couple times out of Texas A&M, I think could be a good fit as well for the Buffalo Bills. Linebacker, Lance. What do you got?
I have Tyron Hopper out of Missouri. Just again a day 3 kind of guy. Someone that you don't have to break the bank for, but athletic, can cover, which we need. Maybe can do some pass rushing. Has some speed and needs to be coached. And if we need a guy to be coached on defense, give me that guy because we have the best coaches on defense that can turn these players with athleticism into great players a la Matt Milano and Terrell Bernard.
Yeah, could the Bills be in the market for another linebacker to kind of compete with? Who do they take from
Balin
Philly?
Spector. Oh,
No,
Nicholas Morrow.
Nicholas Morrow. Yeah.
Yep.
Obviously, they have Dorian Williams, Terrell Bernard, and Matt Milano probably penciled in as the 3 linebackers at the moment. Balin Spector, Nicholas Morrow. Hey, they could look. Could they take a guy in day 3 to compete? 100%. I like Steel Chambers out of Ohio State once again because his name is absolutely sick with Steel Chambers. Just another those type of like ground and pound kind of linebackers from Ohio State. Tommy Eichenberg from Ohio State's decent. I like him as well. I don't know if he has the top end speed in my opinion, but I don't. The linebacker. Thank God we don't need a tight end. Tight end. Well, we don't need a tight end, but we don't need a linebacker. I don't love this linebacker class. Any spot of it. I think Peyton Wilson from NC State's good. I think Edgerrin Cooper from A&M's good. I don't love a lot of guys outside of that. I know people like Cedric Gray from UNC as well, but I'm not a huge fan of this linebacker class. Thank you for the Bills for having Matt Milano, Terrell Bernard, and Dorian Williams. We don't need a linebacker. Or it's not a desperate need. You can take a guy in day 3 and you kind of move on. 2 positions left before we keep with our draft talk. We have a lot to get to tonight. Appreciate everyone in the comment sections as always. Let us know on Facebook and YouTube. And if you're on Twitter, hop over to Facebook and YouTube. And over 200 people right now are watching and listening. We really appreciate that. So thank you. Lance, a cornerback that the Bills should be targeting in this draft.
Just based upon a visit, I didn't study a lot of the cornerbacks, admittedly, but I think Andrew Phillips is
Makes
some guy
sense,
they brought in, and I think that he's 6 foot 187. I like guys that have the height. He does scare me a little bit because his profile reads a little bit like Kaiir Elam, and it just didn't pan out so far yet with Kaiir. So I think if you get nervous about that kind of thing, that could be, but really good against the run. Has a great mentality, physical, and we have the coach to help him in whatever he needs to improve. And that's, there's a lot of criticisms on guys. This is the time to do it. And but some of these things and a lot of these things are, it'll be coached out of you.
Lance, a guy that I watched a little bit tape on when I found out the Bills were having him for a visit, just because I feel like you got to know a little bit. If the Bills had him for a visit, there's clearly interest. A guy I have like kind of that late day 2 kind of guy, day 3 kind of guy, I think fits the Bills. The guy I'm talking about might raise some eyebrows, but that is Cooper DeJean from Iowa, right? And this is a couple things, right? He's starting to grow on me. I don't think he gets to 28. I think he's too talented and can do too many different things on the field to get to 28, in my opinion. But if he gets to 28, the Bills should definitely target him, right? Look, I'm not saying they should definitely draft him, but he should definitely be on their 1 to 2, maybe 3 person list at that 28 spot because he can play corner, he can play safety, and he can play slot corner. And his best, I guess, trait or his best thing he does on the field, he excels in zone coverage. And what do the Bills run a lot? Zone coverage.
Yep.
He fits that need is not the great term. Fits that mold. And maybe they see him as a safety. Like they might see him as project as a safety. I know most people list him as a corner, but he can do both. I think it's going to be really hard for Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane, especially Sean McDermott, who's going to be clamoring in that war room to pass up on Cooper DeJean from Iowa. I don't think he gets to 28, Lance. I think he's too talented, but people fall all the time, right? That's part of the draft. So I think it would be hard for the Bills to pass up with him. I really do. I really do.
Awesome. And look, I think that I would just.
He does have some injury
if the
concerns.
Bills go that route in round 1, but I get it. He's definitely talented. Bring in talented players and let the rest figure itself out.
Yeah, and John's right. The injury history is a little bit of an issue. If the Bills are selecting whoever they select, and I know all the doctors are showing up on social media 2 days before the draft because everyone has a PhD over here and everyone went to medical school and we can all be talking about medical stuff, right? Like if the Bills clear whoever they take, I'm going to trust them. A Rich said it. I was talking with A Rich. He said it or it was text or on Twitter. I was talking with A Rich. He's like, if the Bills doctors clear him, then I'm cool with it, right? And I think that's how you kind of have that mindset, right? Bring up Brian Thomas with his shoulder. Bring up A.D. Mitchell, maybe potentially. Adam McConkey, right? If the Bills clear him, you go with it, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to be mad at anything that the Bills do if they have that in their plans and they have their medicals checking out.
Yeah.
Then I'm rooting for it. I'm going to root for the best. I put out a tweet the other day. It's like, hey, just you know, here we go, Anthony Romeo. Thank you for tuning in, brother. Football Christmas. Just enjoy it. Have fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
And don't let
I'm not here
other
to.
fans tell you how to believe.
We definitely break down games and stuff like that, and we have to be critical just in the analysis because it's just part of analyzing it. But um, from a big standpoint, I think it's just being positive, rooting for when the team makes the decision, trust that they have the right information to make that decision and root for the guy. I don't see the need to go off on it. But yeah, I think if Cooper DeJean's the guy at 28, wouldn't like I said, wouldn't be my first choice, but
Yeah. Safety, Lance. This is a position that we definitely need to be looking at in this draft. What is one safety the Bills should be targeting in this
yeah,
draft?
really looking for Cam Kitchens in round two. Honestly, I really think that they can
Mm-hmm.
get him in round two, get the receiver they want in round one. That would be kind of the nice 1-2 punch for me in the first two rounds. So, Cam Kitchens has been one of the guys that have been mocked to the Bills since day one. He's a free safety out of Miami, obviously has size, 6 foot, 205. Doesn't come down and play the run as good as some people would like, but he's going to put on some
Mm-hmm.
weight. The Bills are going to manage his body composition and get him to a point where he can feel more comfortable doing that. If they want to ask him to do that, but ball skills, reminds me of Micah Hyde, that kind of ball skill. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I agree. I liked him. I think he's probably fallen a little more than maybe you and I expected when we originally talked about him in the beginning of our draft coverage. But I think a guy that could be really good for the Bills. There's a lot of safeties that I love. Cream of the crop, round 2, round 3. The Bills are going to have a pick of their litter if they want to go safety, in my opinion. Cole Bishop from Utah, right? I think he kind of fits everything the Bills kind of want. He's long, he is length, he's a ball hawk. I was watching some of his Baylor tape a couple of days ago. And he was great against Baylor. Had a clutch interception with about 2 minutes left in that fourth quarter to give Utah that chance to go win the game, and they did. Right. I think he fits kind of what the Bills want, a long developmental safety. I think he has a frame that the Bills could use, and I think his aerial attack, basically meaning like his ball skills is off the chart. So I think he fits. Look, there's a lot of options, Lance. I like Kalen Bullock from USC, kind of that roaming kind of safety. Javon Bullard from Georgia is tremendous. Tyke Smith, I have a higher grade than most people have. People start like Dadrian Taylor Demerson from Texas Tech has kind of rose a little bit as the last weeks. James Williams from Miami. The Bills are going to have some good options at safety.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be interesting to see where they go if they pick one early or if they choose to take one later, day 3 or something like that.
Okay. One prospect in each round the Bills can't miss out on. We're going to try to go as fast as possible. Look, guys, this show is going to be a little longer than an hour just based off where we're at because we have so much to talk about. But Lance, one prospect in each round the Bills can't miss out on. Round 1. Or do you want to go
Yeah,
round 7 to round 1 first?
round 1, it's going to be probably Brian Thomas Jr. for me. If you can get him in the first round, that's your probably best case
Mm-hmm.
where he may fall to a place where you can trade up without giving up
Yes.
too much and get a really talented player. I think that's best case scenario. Obviously, 28, getting him at 28 would be best case, but I think, people are understanding that he's not going to get there. And assuming that's the case, which I can agree with, I just, you never know what's going to happen. But I think if he gets to a spot where they can go up without giving up much, he's your can't miss kind of guy for what they need.
I'm going to just copy you because I think when we talk about can't miss, Lance, like guys the Bills should target, I think is different than can't miss. Can't miss is basically a guy that we realistically think that if the Bills don't do any movement, could be at that pick or right around that pick and they move up a pick or two. Brian Thomas Jr. is that guy, and I think he's a guy that if he goes to 25, 26, like the Bills haven't moved yet, you go get him, right? I think he's that talented and fits exactly what they need. Like Rome Odunze Bills, they should target. Will they, just because of how far they probably have to go up? We don't know. But I think Brian Thomas Jr., right, checks all the boxes. I could have went A.D. Mitchell again, but yeah, Brian Thomas Jr. round 1 is a guy I would definitely target. Lance, round 2.
Yeah, that's where, I'm at, like Cam Kinchins or one of these, if Newbid's there, one of those guys,
Yeah.
or round 2, really tough if they're there to kind of not come away with one of those guys.
There's a couple receivers you could throw in there. I think like a Roman Wilson, Troy Franklin, a guy that could be there. Ricky Purcell from Florida as well. Jalen Polk, a couple of those guys I would definitely target round 2. Javon Bullard's probably my guy, right? Like round 2, he's at 60. You have to go get him. I think you kind of have to go get him at 60 if he gets to 60. There's going to be some good receivers there at 60, right? Like I don't think Leggett gets to 60, but if he's there at 53, you go get Xavier Leggett, like those type of guys. But yeah, I would say Javon Bullard for the round 2. Lance, who's a round 3 guy that if he's there, the Bills cannot pass up on him?
I really hope they go up and try to get Brendan Rice in the 3rd round if he's there. I think that's one of the guys in the 3rd round that I would like to see at receiver. 3rd round, I'm thinking about if they're going to go back in there, it's probably a receiver pick. So,
yeah,
they have Jalen McMillan there as well. But if Brendan Rice gets to the 3rd round, would definitely
what about
be a kind of not miss guy for me.
what about Javon Baker?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think that he's trending upward. I'm not sure
Yeah.
if he's there in the 3rd round, but if he is and you can go up and get him, I'm fine with that as well.
The 3rd round's weird because we really don't know where if we're even picking.
Yeah, we don't have a pick
round
now, so it's hard to tell.
Yeah,
it would be.
It's all
The whole 1st round dictates the whole. Really, the 1st round dictates day 1 and 2. Day 3 is probably you have so many picks there. Even if you trade away a few, it's not affecting it a ton.
I would say maybe like a DeJuan Carter, D tackle from Duke. If they didn't go D tackle and they don't want to wait to the 4th round, that type of guy, a Leonard Taylor from Miami, probably can't miss guy out in the 3rd round. And look, if any of those edge rushers fell to round 3, like a Marshawn Nealon or Brandon Dorless or Braylon Trice from Washington, those are guys you definitely cannot miss out on. And then another receiver I would probably just quickly throw out there, maybe Jamari Thrash, Jacob Cowan, not Jacob Cowan, excuse me. I just realized I have Jamari Thrash twice on my big board. That's how much I like him. Jalen McMillan is the guy in round 3 that I think you can't miss out on for me. I definitely can't believe I didn't lead with that. I realized I just have
all the guys on your 3rd round big board, or
yeah, they said what I have Jamari Thrash twice.
Prospect it says 1. Gosh,
I have Jamari Thrash twice.
I like it.
Should we just take him twice?
Twice is nice.
Okay, round 4, Lance.
Yeah, I'm gonna go probably defensive line here for a guy like Christian Boyd or Mason Smith. Yeah, I think I'd go Mason Smith probably if I'm giving one name out. 100 Orr's odds there for the center position. So, lineman, a big lineman, either center on offense or D tackle on defense.
I'm going to go, you went O-line. I'm going to go Audric Estime, like I said earlier, from Notre Dame. He's a guy, round 4. Depends what pick you use him in round 4, but I think a guy that if he's there, you really can't miss out on him.
Yeah, for sure.
Round 5 guy, Lance. Who's a guy in round 5? He's there. You're screaming at your television on a Saturday afternoon on day 3 of the draft when you don't even hear them basically announce any of the picks for them to take.
I just mentioned the guy, and since you just went running back, I'll say a guy like Kendall
Yeah, 100%.
Milton from Georgia. Sorry, and if we're gonna go, um, I haven't said an edge rusher yet, so I'd like to say Muhammad Kamara as well if he's there.
Yeah, he would be a great option. How about a corner you mentioned, um, Andre Phillips from
Andrew Phillips, yeah.
from Kentucky, a guy they had in for a visit, a guy that they clearly have interest in. Round 5 corner, 100%. I know I might have projected he's probably a little higher than that,
Mm-hmm.
but he's a guy that could definitely be in that as well. And maybe another receiver, maybe like a Luke McCaffrey from Rice, that kind of yak kind of guy, that kind of slot guy. Anthony Gould from Oregon State as well, a guy that I talked about last week, could come in right away and be your kick returner and punt returner and has top end speed. So yeah, Lance, a round 6 guy potentially.
I was gonna say Gould if he happened to go to round 6, but obviously not super likely. So round 6, I like a guy, maybe a Grayson Murphy out of UCLA would be good there. Yeah, it's tough. You get in this round, there's a lot of kind of room to move. Guys can really move around from beginning of day 3 to end of day 3 a lot. So maybe, yeah, I'll stick with that.
It's a tough. This is you're trying to get some sort of talent that can kind of fit your team. Maybe a Justin Rogers from Auburn, a defensive lineman. They just add a little bit more depth there as well. Miles Murphy from UNC, a couple guys that could fit that mold. You could go tackle as well. Caden Wallace from Penn State. I probably should have I think should be a little higher in my opinion, but a guy that I would definitely target day 3. Lance, 7th round. What do we got?
I think Ryan Flournoy, if he's in the 7th round at all, you go up and try to grab that guy like that. Would be a nice pick in round 7.
How about a guy that his dad played for the Bills, Frank Gore Jr., running back from Southern Miss,
Nice.
guy in round 7 that the Bills could definitely be targeting as well. Jim's coming in.
Keaton Bills, right? You got to pick Keaton Bills there too.
Oh, yeah, Keaton Bills as well. You just have to take him. You have to trade back into the draft just to take him. Jalen Coker could be an option. He's a receiver, correct?
Yep.
From Holy Cross.
Holy Cross, yep.
What do we got here? Jim's coming in. How far does Tavondre Sweat drop? I really don't know, because he has, like Lance, he has early day 2 talent, I think, in my opinion, right? I don't think he has first round talent, but I think he has early day 2 talent. Probably round 4 is probably farthest he falls, in my opinion. What do you think? I'm basically guessing right now.
3rd round.
You think 3rd round?
Probably not much farther than that.
Okay. No more insight on that.
I don't really know. It's just my thought. Really, it's just a matter of if you're trying to take a guy, the best talent, and he's there in the 3rd round, and you say, okay, he made a mistake. He's young. We'll coach him up and get him the help he needs for whatever off the field concerns you have. I think the talent's pretty undeniable, and I don't think he slips past the 3rd really.
Okay, we're going back to round 1 here, Lance. A round that you and I have talked about. Maybe we kind of already answered this with one guy you can't really miss. Anybody else you want to mention here, kind of so we don't repeat ourselves, but anybody else that like one prospect in round 1 that is the home run hire? Maybe some home run section.
Home run for me is Roma Dunze, like I said. Okay. You could say,
but maybe we're not talking about him as much. Like a guy that maybe we're not talking about as much, potentially. I'm putting you on the spot. Just trying to change up the question a little.
Sure, Leggett could be that guy too. I didn't really say anything for him.
What about Xavier Worthy?
I saw you had that selected. So yeah, that's a guy that I was saving for the next.
No,
for real.
Really?
Like in round 1, it's not somebody I'm looking for. I don't think it's
fair
necessarily going to be called a home run. I think that you just have to understand, with the Bills' current personnel, I think that's not necessarily a home run. It's
Get ready
fine
to
pick.
learn Worthy over there, Lance. I don't know where. People get ready to learn like Chinese when they're not going to play in the NBA. Get ready to learn Worthy. Look, said this earlier. I think there's a chance, and I could be reading into too much of some chatter, but could the Bills be going away from maybe a big receiver, right? Like, could they target a guy with speed, a guy that is a difference maker? And Xavier Worthy, with the ball in his hands, is a difference maker. He's a playmaker. He can stretch the field. He has superstar speed, and if the Bills think he's more than just speed, he can turn into a legit player. If they use him right, he can turn him into a legit player. Like Lance, I think 28 is I'm not saying he's a home run selection. I don't think he's the home run selection, but I brought him up just to bust your chops over there. I would say the home run selection for me, like AD Mitchell is a home run selection for me. I think he's that good and that talented. I like Cooper DeJean. I don't know if he's the home run just because based off what the Bills really need. He might be a home run prospect, but not a home run selection. Like Jackson Powers Johnson, is a home run. I think he's a home run prospect. I don't know if he's a home run selection based off what potentially the Bills need. Does that make sense?
No, I think he's a home run selection.
You think he's a home run selection no matter what?
Connor McGovern at left guard and have him be your starting center for years to come, then I would like that very much.
Okay, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying. Oh, I did disagree with you actually. So
it's fair.
Fair enough. One prospect, Lance, the Bills should avoid in round one. They shouldn't draft you.
They should not in any round per se. You hear guys like Keon Coleman and that kind of name. Lad McConkey in the first round. I think those.
No, don't hate the Lad McConkey, man.
No, I mean
I'm gonna text you once the Bills draft Lad McConkey at 28.
And,
okay, fair enough.
I don't think in the first round. I don't think that's the place to be.
Friday morning, Thursday night Bills draft Lad McConkey. Friday morning, Lance is sending me 6 different tweets about how good Lad McConkey is, and he's on board.
Absolutely. I'm going to root for any of these guys. It's just a matter of, preference, really. So, I mean, for me, I don't really know yet how Brady's going to come out and run this offense. So it's going to be very interesting to see what he wants to do with his personnel and what kind of personnel packages and things he wants to use. So it's just a matter of, trying to figure that out, seeing what seeing what he wants to do. That's one thing I'm interested in. So
Keon Coleman's that guy, then I'm kind of like having like a weird thought like that the Bills take him at 28 and then I have to get on board with Keon Coleman. I know people like Keon Coleman. I was listening to Joel Klatt, who's an analyst for Fox for college football. He'll be on the NFL networks, like whatever they do for the draft. He likes Keon Coleman a lot because he can go up and get the ball. He's really good at contested catch. His inability to separate Lance scares the living daylights out of me, and I don't know if they want to do that. But don't you just have that weird feeling that Keon Coleman could be the pick at 28?
Yep. I have that weird feeling, and that's why I hope they don't do it.
Hope he goes 27. So the Bills can't even be afford to take him. He's a guy that I would probably avoid in round one. I'm trying to think of other guys. There's not a lot. Like, you know what? This is a guy I would avoid. How do you say his name again? Latu? What?
Latu. Yep.
Latu from UCLA. I'm avoiding him in round one. His neck injury is a little concerning. I'm trying to avoid edge rusher as much as possible in round one. Just don't think it's the need. I like Chop Robinson. The production really wasn't there in college consistently, but if you go back and watch that Michigan game, when Michigan decided to not throw the ball at all after the first 2 drives, that was because of Chop Robinson and how good he was off the edge. Michigan, who has a lot of guys in this draft on the offensive line, could not block Chop Robinson, a guy that I think the Bills could be targeting at 28, but I think we avoid edge rusher altogether. Yeah, Lance, you can send me posts about how good Keon Coleman is, and then I'll send you posts about how good Keon Coleman is.
Latu.
You know what? I won't even have to ever learn his name because he won't be a Buffalo Bill. So does it really matter? No. Avoid Chop Robinson in round one and corner Preston. Yeah, Lance, what are your thoughts on Chop Robinson? Because I just laid out why I think he could potentially be the pick at 28 because I think he was so good in that Michigan game and they went away from him they went away from the passing game just because they could not block Chop Robinson. What are your thoughts on Chop at 28?
I would love it if they stayed at 28 and that was their pick. I wouldn't be concerned one bit. Come in here, we have some of the best defensive coaches in the league on this staff, and I think that
Mm-hmm.
you have to really give them their due when it comes to talking about the prospects they're going to bring in. And when you talk about bringing in just freak athletes to come in and you know be a part of this scheme and this defense, I'm all for it.
Yeah, it's probably the position that scares me just because of what I think the Bills need more or less than the prospect. If that's probably kind of where I'm at.
Right. That makes sense.
Anybody else we should really, really avoid in round one? I guess like a corner that's not named Cooper DeJean, I would say probably, but it's not because of the player more or less. It's probably because of the position.
Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, everyone thinks Chop is Aaron Maven. I understand, but like I say, we didn't have the same defensive coaching staff we have now when Aaron Maven was drafted. And if they did,
Mm-hmm.
could have saw a different result, I think, potentially. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
not, but
Yeah.
see. Him being from Penn State, I think really just cements that for people, which is fine.
The question that we need to ask
I want to see
ourselves.
as many answers in the comments that we can get on if the Bills are drafting wide receiver in the first round. Let us know what you think. Also, don't forget to slap the like and share buttons if you're watching this and enjoying this. Um, I think they're absolutely. I think they kind of have to. But the one thing I'll say is if they choose to trade or sign a veteran wide receiver and stick with what they have, and they see a supreme talent on the defense or offensive line, or maybe, DeJean, something like that, I think that um, you have the potential to see them go non-receiver in round
Mm-hmm.
one. I
I would be
absolutely think
shocked.
I think that even Izzy says 80% chance we go wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'll
I would
probably
be
say
shocked,
it's
Lance.
nearly 90% chance, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I agree. It's all depend. The biggest thing I wanted to talk about when we're bringing up this
Mm-hmm.
topic is that there's going to be something that happens in the next couple of days, whether it's before the draft or during the first round,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to surprise us and may, um, you know, change this answer completely. You still see there's still some Brandon Ayuk smoke out there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that based upon I was talking, about the Built in Buffalo draft show with some other Built in Buffalo folks and talking about what the thoughts on the draft were, and some were saying, that they think that a vet receiver is still going to be brought in potentially, or that
I
maybe
do
they're still
too,
working on it, and
potentially.
so um, that could change the whole. If they like some of these guys we mentioned, like a Brendan Rice, and if they think, oh, we can get him even at 60 if they want him there, and they think that's the way to go with a vet, I think they can. I can see them not drafting a wide receiver um, in the first round, but high chances that they do.
Yeah. No, I agree. According to Draft Campbell, you ever heard of Draft Campbell,
Nope.
who does the Walter Football Draft? He says the Bills are aggressively trying to move up on the draft on Thursday for a wide receiver. Just said that. So I have no idea if that's true. It's smoke, it's smoke, it's smoke. Lance, I would say it's an 85% chance the Bills go wide receiver in round one. I think if they don't move at all, let's say they stay put at 28, I guess there is a couple prospects that could get there that are non-receivers that they would probably look at, right? Like if Byron Murphy somehow got to 28, they are going to look at Byron Murphy. If an edge rusher that they like gets to 28, they're going to look at. If Cooper DeJean gets to 28, right, Lance? They're going to look at. There's a couple of those type of guys. Jackson Powers Johnson, guy at 28, they would definitely look at. That's why I still think there's a chance they don't go receiver, but I think there's 85% chance. I like this comment by David. Is if there any chance the Raiders trade Adams? I would probably say no. He's kind of bought into who's their coach? Antonio Pierce's kind of system. Yeah. He kind of wanted to play for Antonio Pierce. He was a big advocate for Antonio Pierce coming back because we kind of heard in the beginning of the offseason the Jets really want to add Devontae Adams, obviously the pair of Aaron Rodgers. That never really transpired just because he didn't want to go. So, any thoughts on that, or did I cover that?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I don't know what it would take to get up or to get him. So I would say not likely that a team's going to really give up what the Raiders might ask for him.
Mm-hmm.
And then, paying an aging receiver, all that conversation. So not interested personally, but there's probably slim to the very little chance, more not because the Raiders wouldn't be open to it, but I think that teams wouldn't pay the price the Raiders would ask for the trade.
They're going to ask way too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brendan Rice. Oh, sorry, Lance. Brendan Rice from USC, Lance said a guy that probably they should target in round 3 if he gets there, if they go back in round 3. A guy that probably was more of a round 2 guy early on, probably more of a round 3 guy, in my opinion, but yeah, I like him. Bob, we sure about that, Bob? We sure the only guy is to trade up for is Brian Thomas? The guy that only trade up into the 15s, 16s, and maybe 20s is Brian Thomas Jr. Go get Rome Odunze. Go get Malik Neighbors.
Trade up, not trading up and giving up too much. I think that's the conversation.
If you're going to trade up, go for it.
Fair, but yeah, I'm all in.
Go for it. Well,
landing Odunze, or even if they were to go all the way and get Harrison, I wouldn't hate that.
How could you hate that?
Benjamin? So I'm just reading Benjamin Albright 6 minutes ago. The Bills are aggressively trying to move up per Draft Campbell, per Benjamin Albright, Kevin Massari, built in Buffalo, also getting that out there. So
smoke?
Maybe.
What do we think? Because but sometimes when there's smoke, there's fire.
It's Brandon Beane's MO, so I think it's 100% true.
That also, I feel like I could report that and be like, the Bills are aggressively trying to trade up. And people will be like, I'm not going to report it because I'm making it up. I'm making it up. But I'm saying it's like that type of opinion, like, oh, it's not that bold. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's not like someone just said, oh, the Bears aren't taking Caleb Williams.
Right. Well, I think it's just more so hearing traction on that front, more so probably that maybe more teams are willing to listen. Maybe someone's saying the Bills are more willing to part way with the assets required, that kind of thing.
Let's say there's 2 different questions when you're talking about trading. Right? There's 3 different scenarios, right? Like Lance, it could be from 28 to 25 to get AD Mitchell, for example, right? 28 to 25. Could be from 28 to 16, 15, where the Colts and Seahawks are kind of are, to get Brian Thomas Jr. And then there's the super, super aggressive to 8, to 9, to 7, to 11 or 12, not 10, because the Jets pick at 10.
Let's go.
To 4, to get Marvin Harrison, to get Malik Neighbors, to get Rome Odunze. Out of those 3 scenarios, Bob said option 2. Those 3 options, from 28 to 25 to get AD Mitchell, whatever guy that kind of fits your mold there. To get from 28 to 15 to 16 to get Brian Thomas Jr., or to get up from 28 to 8 to 9 to get Odunze or Neighbors, or maybe even higher to get Harrison. Out of those 3 scenarios, what scenario would you want to do, and what scenario do you think is the most realistic for the Bills on Thursday night?
Realistically, moving up into within the 20s still.
Okay.
Is takes the
just to solidify your guy
amount of assets, but if their guy gets there, they're gonna go easily. But I'm gonna predict boldly that they move up into the top 10 and grab one of these top 3 guys. I think that's my first round prediction that I'm gonna land on right here before the NFL draft on Tuesday night. I say the Bills give what they got to give to get up into the top 10, make the aggressive splash, go for it with Josh Allen at quarterback, and get a nice young receiver that has top end talent.
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go on a limb and say Rome Odunze Thursday night will be a member of the Buffalo Bills. I think the Bills get aggressive. I think they get super aggressive, and I think they go up and they get their superstar receiver. That will be their star receiver for the next 8 to 10 years. So out of those three scenarios, Rome Odunze, I think the Bills go up and get him. I think Brian Thomas Jr. makes sense as well. Aggressive is not 28 to 25, Lance. That's not aggressive. 28 to 15 to 16 is aggressive, and 28 to 8 to 9 is super, super aggressive. Bob, I'm just blowing Bob's brain right now.
Going for it, Bob. Sorry, brother.
Bob, we're going for it. Bob, we're giving up you in the trade as well. We're trading Bob as well. No offense, Bob.
I think Wyszynski and a bucket of wings from Duff's for the number 9 pick. Solid deal. Bob's a solid guy.
I think Bob would do it too.
Yeah. 100%.
Bob, let us know. Would you be in the package if we went to go get Roman Dunze or Marvin Harrison or neighbors?
Are you willing?
He's done.
Move?
Oh, he's in.
He's in.
Okay. Wow. Bob's in. We can throw Lance in as well.
Bob, we can share some of the wings too. That'd be great.
We'll throw an Izzy in too. Sorry, Izzy. Izzy can play offensive line.
Izzy's coming in. Here he goes.
You think Izzy can play offensive line?
Oh, 100%. This guy's
Izzy.
Brick house.
Izzy, the Bears need O-line. Or no, the Bears need O-line. It's out of blue cheese too. Yep. Or we can disguise
trade.
Blue cheese might be too much to give up in the deal. We might have to give them some ranch. Just they think it's blue. They think it's blue cheese. We give them ranch and then no take backsies.
Man, only getting blue cheese for Marvin Harrison Jr. Sorry.
Okay, where did we just go there? Okay, Lance. Final first round. I know we just talked about what they might do, move up, right? Like we both said they're going to move up into the top 10. That's what we kind of went really bold. But let's say they say at 28. Who was the guy they pick at 28?
First round prediction for me.
If they we just made our first round prediction. We just made our first round prediction of going up. But if they stayed at 28, there was no trades. Who are they taking at 28?
Leggett.
That's a good one. I want to say A.D. Mitchell. I just don't know if they want A.D. Mitchell, and I think it's just me wanting A.D. Mitchell more than they want A.D. Mitchell.
Maybe.
I'm gonna say Xavier Worthy, 28. I think Xavier Worthy is the guy at 28. I'm not saying that's exactly what they should do. I'm just buying the yards after catch, get a skilled playmaker on the outside that can do a lot of different things. I think Xavier Worthy is the pick at 28.
Yeah, I like it.
Do you?
And I want to
no, you don't. No, you don't. You just lied to my face. You don't like the pick at 20. What the?
I like your reasoning. I like your explanation. I like your thought on if Xavier Worthy can become all of that and more, then fine. But yeah, he's not. Maurice, we don't discriminate here, brother. So just because he's diabetic, he could be left-handed too, and that wouldn't matter to me. Okay, sometimes
he can catch the freaking ball and he can run. I don't think that's an issue. The diabetic thing's not an issue in my opinion.
I'm going to go off script a little bit on this because I meant to touch on it. It was in my notes and we didn't really get to a point. But with the comment here, it makes a lot of sense to go there now. And we didn't discuss this, so I just want to get your take on it and go that route. How much is the Bills' approach, or how much does the Bills' approach have to copy what Kansas City did? Kansas City didn't go out and make big splashes. They filled their roster out. They also have Andy Reid. They have the offensive coaching. I'm not saying Joe Brady can't be good. I'm just saying we don't have Andy Reid. And so I want to take more of the Rams approach, and that was successful as well. And they're coming back, and they still made the playoffs last year, right? So it's like, they almost won that game. They're not dead.
No.
In the barrel because they went all in and ended up winning a Super Bowl. They probably took a step back for a year or two or something and retooled, and they still had their quarterback, and they still had some foundation pieces and an offensive mind. So if this is the guy that we can go up and be aggressive for, and that's gonna give us that tandem and allow us to do things with other pieces of our roster, because you have that cost controlled wide receiver for 5 years. Um, I love the idea of it, and if you're all in and you're going for it 100%, I'm never gonna fault you. I think there's no wrong move, um, outside of going into the top 10 for Brian Thomas Jr. I think that would be a little bit much. If
Hmm.
they go up to 9 and the selection's Brian Thomas Jr., I'm a little disappointed. But you know what? Go get your guy wherever you can get him, because you can't predict that they'll fall to a certain spot. So if you have the opportunity, it presents itself, and you can pull the trigger, get where you need to go to get the guy that you just think is too good to pass on, then I'm just all for that. And
Hmm.
there's two schools of thought there, and there's two things that have both worked. And that Bob makes a good point. They hit on Puka Nakua, and that's, you got to do those things, and that's what we're hoping for. One of these, um, I don't know, Anthony Gold, or
Good.
one of these
Yeah.
guys. I don't know, maybe uh, Malachi
Well, like
Corley,
they.
or someone in the late, Brendan Rice, in the
Yeah.
later rounds, that you're
Yeah.
gonna potentially think it can. One of these guys in the round, late day two, early day three, is gonna be really really good. Find the right one, and we'll see. Maybe Ryan
Well, they
Floyland
did
is
that
that
with
guy. Who knows?
they did that with Christian Benford, right? Like in the
Hmm.
cornerback position, he's gonna be a day most likely. He's gonna be a day one starter for the Bills this year, right? Like the holes of this roster, I think, is a little bit over exaggerated, right? Like they have Mike Edwards at safety, they have Taylor Rapp. I am totally okay with that heading into the season. I think they do add another guy at safety, right? So what
All
when
the injuries last year kind of really make me want
on
to
defense, yes,
get linebackers and safeties and corners, because we were so depleted in those,
AJ
because of the
Klein
style
started
of
a playoff game.
because of the style of defense they play, and the way that they ask their guys to be physical in the run game and things like
Yeah.
that. I think that you need, because people just get worn out, and because we're so athletic on defense, they just tend to be a little bit smaller in stature, and so that the classic, or the constant banging up against runners and things like that, it does wear and tear on the guys. So on the back end. So I definitely love to add, another linebacker, another safety, another corner or two, and just really make sure we have young, solid depth uh, moving forward. But we all, there's going to be guys that are right now on the practice squad or signed to reserve futures that could come in and play. They have a shot at it, and they're probably are what they are at this point for the most part. When you talk about veterans, we've got, but it's still possible, I think. So yeah, we'll see. I would love to just add more bulk to the back seven, let's say, because of what happened in the playoffs last year and
Hmm.
playing AJ Klein. But I back to the thing is, whether you're gonna go for it and be all in like the Rams, or you're gonna just sit back and sign the pieces, like Kansas City did. I just Kansas City has a couple of wild cards with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, that
And
pairing,
Travis
and
Kelsey.
we haven't found that pairing for Josh Allen yet, where maybe Joe Brady could be that, but it's not like, that special, that there's something special between Reid and Mahomes that just make the things work. And maybe
Yeah.
D-ball was more of that for Josh Allen, and you know,
Mhm.
don't see him necessarily walking back through that door unless he wants to take a coordinator job after New York fires him after this year. But yeah, I think that maybe that happens, maybe that doesn't.
But
But the Kansas City approach works because they have um, Mahomes. Yeah, they have the Reed, Mahomes, Kelsey. That
yeah,
whole
yeah.
thing just
And
works.
look, the Bills had the Allen Diggs, McDermott, Dable, whatever you want to call it, thing, and they probably get to a Super Bowl, Lance, if the Chiefs don't exist, right? Like
Hmm.
that's the caveat. Like the Bills have been the second or third best team in the National Football League, or a top four team in the NFL for the last 3 to 4 years, right? It
Yep.
just happens the fact that Patrick Mahomes, who might end up being one of the greatest quarterbacks ever in the National Football League with Andy Reid, exist, right? It's unfortunate timing,
It's a
and
juggernaut.
like
Yeah.
It's not like have the Bills failed at key parts of games in the playoffs against the Chiefs 100%, right? And you can blame them on that as well. The Chiefs don't exist, or they're not this type of Chiefs team. The Bills are probably in 2 Super Bowls. What they do in the Super Bowls against potentially the 49ers this year, or when they were the 13 seconds year against, I'm not going to say the year they lost to the Bengals, because they lost to the Bengals, right? That's different. But the year before that, the 13 seconds in the divisional round, right, they probably get to the Super Bowl, and I think they beat the Rams. But so that's just like, they probably have a Super Bowl right now, and they're probably in 2 Super Bowl appearances right now if the Chiefs don't exist. So that's super unfortunate. That is just the nature of the NFL.
Yeah,
and eventually you have to get over that hump.
Today at work too. It's like, man, we haven't lost. We've lost less than 10 games in 2 seasons, and that was a big deal last year because we had a stumbling block. But before that, it was like, what, we lost 3 or 4, and then 3
the Bills
or 4.
Still ended up the 2 seed last year.
Yeah, so man, like
the Chiefs exist, dude.
I know it's just regular season success and all that, but I mean, it's better than the 17 years you went without playoffs at all. So for me, I'm excited about where that they win all these games, even if it is just regular season success.
Go ask Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah,
he's been in 2 Super Bowls against the Chiefs. Like, does he get I'm not saying he's not getting another shot at a Super Bowl. I'm not doing that, but he had 2 chances, and they lost to the Chiefs twice. Like, that's just the nature of where the Chiefs are. And
you got to strike when your roster is built to do that too, and it's tough to do.
And the Bengals struck. The Bengals struck, right, and they beat the Chiefs, and then they didn't take their chance. They lost to the Rams, right? Like, it's the nature of the NFL. The Bills have had legit playoff experience. I think they've had a legit playoff success, in my opinion. They just haven't gotten over the Chiefs hump, and that's unfortunate. And not many teams really have gotten over the Chiefs hump. 49ers haven't. I guess Tom Brady did with the Bucs. Bengals did once, but then didn't capitalize on that situation. The Ravens have definitely not. They had a huge chance, and the Chiefs did not play well in that AFC Championship game. And Lamar Jackson and Jim Harbaugh folded like a cheap hand right there in that game. So, and look, it's not like, I don't know where we have gotten with this show. This has been wild. But it's not also like the Chiefs haven't tried to add more wide receiver pieces, Lance, since they got rid of Tyreek Hill, right?
Sure.
They drafted Rashee Rice, who had a good productive year. Now he's dealing with some not crazy, well, it is crazy, but some off-the-field issues that we don't know how it's going to resolve. They drafted Sky Moore on day 2. Hasn't really panned out. They traded for a former first-round pick in Kadarius Toney. Hasn't really panned out. It's not like they haven't tried to go add receivers. They just haven't worked. One caveat talking about not even filling holes, because I don't think the Bills have as many holes, but they have so many draft picks this year that you can fill holes, right? They don't need instant starters at the defensive tackle position or the safety position. They potentially need future impact players or guys that can come in and play a certain role this year. And you can get that if they go back into round 3. You can get that in the 4th round. You can get that in the 5th round. One caveat, that Minnesota 2nd round pick in 2025 is something that the Bills are going to dangle when they try to go up and get the guy they want.
Yep.
Because they have 2. That Minnesota one's going to be better than the Bills. The Bills are going to have to swallow that and be like, okay, we'll give up the Minnesota one. Which, look, if you went up to go get Roma Dunze or Malik Neighbors and you gave up 2025 round 1 and your Minnesota round 2, you're doing it and you're not thinking about it.
Yeah, I'm all for, like I said, that's my prediction and that's my favorite scenario. And I love Izzy's comment here, and I didn't expect to go this way with this.
Yeah, where did we go with our final draft conversation before Thursday?
It's just, what approach do you want to take? Do you want to be aggressive? Because our predictions were the Bills are going to go up and get a Dunze. And so do you want to get aggressive? And, just to give respect to Izzy's comment.
Izzy, that's what I said.
Coach McDermott is definitely successful. Like, he hasn't conquered it, but only one other guy really has lately since the Chiefs became who they are, and they didn't even get the job done in the Super Bowl either. So as many shots at him as everyone has had, nobody's been able to do it and then go and win it all. So it is what it is. It was a fun conversation to say, do you want to go conservative route and just try to build with what you got, or do you want to kind of put your chips on the table and try to go for it?
David, I like your question. I don't like answering those questions, though, because I really don't know.
Not doing it.
it's like a first take question, or it's like a undisputed question. It's something like that. I'm
They're
not
both pretty
in.
equally
Yeah,
responsible.
yeah. Well, look, Andy Reid's probably not coaching for that much longer, I would probably say. So we'll see. And look, I guess Tom Brady won a Super Bowl without Bill Belichick, and Bill Belichick kind of failed after Tom Brady. So maybe the Bill Belichick Tom Brady argument kind of worked itself out just a bit. Okay, I'm not saying they need each other. I'm not saying that. But if you want to make the argument to Tom Brady, I guess you have, last 3 to 4 years to prove your point. More than, at least you have some sort of evidence to back it up. Lance, the final time we are doing this, I guess together, you and I are doing this together, but the final time we're doing this before Thursday, give me a simulator, man. Let's do 7 rounds. Maybe we even trade up. I think we should trade up.
You want it? Okay, we can.
What we just said. Wait. Don't. If you started, did we just go? Start?
Yeah, it's what it seems like. So I have to click on enter, and then I'll have to click on pause pretty quickly. So did it. Wow.
Okay. Where are we going? Because we don't know who's fallen.
Right.
Do we go 9, or are we risking 9 and hopefully we get neighbors? You should have went slow. Oh no, slow stinks.
Yeah. That'll be
Okay.
good for later. At the beginning, we'll have to just hit
Yeah.
a little something like that. So 3 quarterbacks.
Good.
You want to try to?
No, because Cardinals, I think they're going to take Marvin.
That's what I'm saying. You want to go all the way or not?
Nah, Okay.
There he is.
This is where we can start. Okay. Let's see what, you know what? Let's do this. Let's see who the Chargers take, and then we can go from there. I think that's where okay, we can't go from there. Giants, we're trading with the Giants.
Okay.
If they went like offensive lineman or something, then we could wait a pick. You know what I mean?
Right.
But we're the Giants. Right there. Confirm. Okay. 28. And Minnesota's? Is that enough? Like 140? Sure. I don't know. Is that enough? 183 maybe we get back, or 166? They're not going to like it, are they?
Nope. Failure. Want to give him a little bit more? We'll try one more time, and then if that doesn't work, we're going to move on.
Oh, you're doing that. I hate giving up 60, don't you?
Hey, I hate it, but it's a necessary evil.
Oh my God. That's a lot. Get rid of 60, dude. We kind of have to, though.
It's the same offer we just made, right? What else are we going to give up?
Yeah, you're right. 60. Do we give up yeah. Do we get rid of 180? Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Just do it.
Not even
Okay.
See?
Just do one thing and see what they got. If they don't go receiver. They don't go receiver. Nope. We're okay. We're out. We're sitting.
Ready?
Right? Like, that's realistic. If they're not gonna do 5 or 6,
So yep, there's your top 10. Brian Thomas doesn't go there.
Oh, he just went.
He goes at 11. So even trying to go up to 12 wasn't going to happen.
Nothing we can do about that, Lance.
Yeah, I'm gonna just let it run now, and we're gonna rip it where we're at.
Sorry, viewers, we could not change that. Ooh, wait.
I'm gonna go 33 and 65, giving up 28 and 128. It's an interesting deal.
What's the next one? There's 2. See, this would be nice if we traded up, which wouldn't make any sense, because then you can recuperate the Minnesota one. Would they want 3 second-round picks next year just to piss her? Because you move up next year?
I don't want to make my first selection at 51, to be honest with you.
No. Reject both.
So who's here? Let's first...
A.D. Mitchell, Xavier Worthy are there, receiver-wise. Jackson Powers-Johnson's there. Keon Coleman. Lad McConkey's there. Xavier Leggette's probably there, too. Yeah, he's there, too. Okay, let's do it.
In the Carolina.
I would do that. Yeah, 20. Yeah, I'm doing this.
All right.
Worthy goes off the board. No, we need this freaking pick. No. Oh,
Next year's
mama.
first, yeah, for this.
That might actually be seriously Denver. Why are we?
Next year's first? Yeah, it would have been. All right,
But
so
Denver's. Do you think Denver's
where
giving
they
up next
break
year's
my heart
first?
and they take Keon Coleman or Lad McConkey, right? But
Let's take a look at.
yeah, we got to look at it here.
We'll get. Imagine, dude. You would have to think about if Denver sent their first for next year.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Denver's not going to be that good, I don't think.
Nope.
Denver's just tossing around their first 2025 round pick just because they want to move up in the second round of the draft.
Hitchens went right before us, but we couldn't.
What's the safety room look like? Just go to whole safety. It's easy to look at. Cole Bishop's a guy at 60, but we do have another pick at 65 now because we made that trade with Carolina.
First pick of round 3. Nice.
So, D tackle we probably can. Ooh, would you? Wow, what are your thoughts on Chris Jenkins? Chris Jenkins.
I haven't really.
I haven't really looked into him because I don't think he's really going to be available when
guy, so twitched up athlete. I like that discussion. So yeah, I would say if he's around.
David, I have no idea why Minnesota would go receiver.
Check that out.
Wait, I get why Minnesota. Minnesota going receiver is interesting. They did just draft Jordan Addison. Wait, who'd you just go?
I didn't go anybody. I was just looking back up at. Oh
yeah.
Yeah.
Never know. I don't know, man.
The simulator knows. Maybe they.
Wait, who's that guy Carolina took? Kingsley.
Where?
Kingsley Suma. I haven't read. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So.
And look, anybody that's just tuning in, Lance and I tried trading up to 6. The Giants wouldn't budge after Neighbors and Harrison went off. We tried to get it for a Doomsday that we predicted. We couldn't get him. Thomas goes at 11. Lance, our hands were kind of tied there.
Roman Wilson's here too. Yeah, hands were tied. We couldn't give up.
Let's go receiver, dude. Let's double dip here because I think we can get a safety.
At
65.
Yeah.
That we like.
Sense. Roman Wilson, your guy?
Go to the whole receivers.
Troy Franklin's there. I mean, that's pretty tough to
pass. Do they go two guys like that?
Yeah, we just took.
I think Roman Wilson might fit that. Roman Wilson might fit a little more. I would go Roman Wilson. That's who I think.
All right, I'll do it. I'm not scared.
No, stop sending us trades.
Ooh.
I want a safety though.
Yeah, no. Want our guy. Sorry, guy.
Hey, unless Denver gave us their first again.
Bullard or Bishop?
Bullard's better, but I like Bishop, but I think Bullard's better.
Bullard's more a free safety, right? Or is he still strong?
I'm blanking.
Explosive feet. Yeah, I'd go Bullard.
Yeah. Next pick's at 133. We'll get Roman Wilson and Bullard. Oh, that's a good 3 first picks, dude.
Ooh, just missed Blake Fisher by a pick.
Bullard's a hitter, according to Izzy.
Tyron Hopper.
Is Bullard more of a strong or a free? Let me know. I think he's more of a strong. Because he would replace Rapp.
They got Tyron Hopper at 133.
Yeah, I'm not taking a freaking linebacker, man. What the heck? D tackle. Mason McCormick. Next pick's at 144. It's an edge.
Wingo.
I want to wait for Jefferson. You think at 144? Or are we picking early? We're gonna miss out on Jefferson?
Oh no, Jefferson's
strong. Yeah. Lance, Bullard's more of like a strong safety.
Right on. I like him because he's strong.
Mekhi Wingo? Mason McCormick? Let's go Mason McCormick.
I was thinking that would be a bit nicer. Layden Robinson could also be there. Has the opportunity to play tackle. Yeah.
Thank you for over 330 people watching this right now. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm just not interested in going through a bunch of trades right now. So
you don't want to trade a bunch of day 4 picks, day 3 picks.
Hopper's still there. Look at
I am not taking Tyron Lance. Enough with Lance.
Value.
The running back room just did not fall for us.
No. Do you want any more receivers?
No. We didn't take a D tackle yet, dude.
No, I know. I'm getting there. Just clicking through.
We took
just a guy trying to click through here. Wingo, Jefferson.
Is 139 too early? 144 too early for
Yeah,
Jefferson?
I'm waiting for Christian Boyd probably. If there's somebody else here, we can go. Solomon out of Troy. Thomas out of Clemson. That's two.
What's the running back? I don't like where we're at right now in this pick. Nope. What about the running back room? Javon Solomon at Cornu, Izzy or Jalen Hunt?
Tyke Smith.
Izzy wants an edge.
Izzy really wants the edge. Where do you want to go? Running back?
Nah, the running back room's brutal right now. What's the edge room look like? Is it Solomon or Hunt?
I'd go Solomon for sure.
I don't even see Hunt.
Who's he looking for here?
Who's he looking for? Maybe I read the comment wrong. Jalen Hunt. He might have went off the board already. Go Solomon. He's off the board. Let's go Solomon so we don't sit over this freaking 144 for another hour and a half, Lance.
Where are we going? Solomon.
Solomon. That's who Izzy wants. Edge rusher. 160. Oh, Jacob Cowher went to the Chiefs. That's going to be annoying. What's the defensive tackle room look like? Boyd. Christian Boyd? Should we wait or just take him? What's the running back room look like now? Yeah, take him. I'm sick of looking at this already, dude. Are you?
No, I'm having an awesome time, aren't you?
Isaiah Davis. Here? What's Isaiah Davis' size?
6'2".
What's Garendo?
That's the popular thing. 9.2.
Yeah, let's go Garendo. Daniel Adams, the big Garendo guy. We'll support BIB.
Let's go. Big haul here. Oh, I think we lost 180 something at some point.
Yeah, quarterback. Yeah, we lost it when we did Joe Milton. Last pick. Nope. We're not trading freaking days, round 7 pick. We already took a running back. We didn't take a tackle yet. Is Javon Foster on the board? Anthony Gould. Oh my God. Think about it. We'll go back. Don't click it yet. Jeez, is Javon Foster? What's the we didn't take a tackle. We took Mason
Hayden Wallace is there. Oh, man. Is that who you're saying about or no?
Yeah. Okay, go to defense. We only took one safety. Muhammad Kamara. Jeez. Yeah, take him. Frick the linebackers.
Where's the Bills guy? Where's Keaton Bills?
Isn't he? He's an offensive lineman, dude. I think he's a tackle. Or he's a guard, maybe. Or is he a guard? He might be a guard.
Zion Nelson. Let's get that Nelson in there. Where's Keaton Bills? Can't be off the board. There he is.
Hey, we're not taking him. Little UDFA.
You want Quentin Newsom, Nebraska?
Did I just freeze, dude?
Maybe a little bit. You still there? I can hear you.
Yeah, my computer
just
crashed.
Ray Taylor. Who are you looking for? Give me a name, and we'll get out of here.
My computer crashed, dude.
I can still hear you. Just tell me.
I can't see. I can't see anything.
You don't need to see. You just need to say. Yep, there he is. And there we go. So with my final pick, I'm going to take Kamara. I like it too much to not. And we're rocking and rolling. Thank you guys for tuning in. It was a long episode, I know. So appreciate everyone tuning in. Oh, we do have one more. Peter's going to miss it. Missing out on all the fun. And I get to take, he's not here to stop me. I'm going to take Keaton Bills. There's no way not to take him. Make sure you get him on the roster. And there we go. So, thanks everyone for tuning in. Like I mentioned, really appreciate all the watches, listens, shares, likes, and everything else. Tune in tomorrow. Going Deep Buffalo is going to get you ready just for the draft. Then we'll be live Thursday night. Keem Richens and Anthony Romeo, and Friday as well. And then Kevin Massari back on Saturday for some more of day 3 of the draft. So stay tuned to Built in Buffalo all week. Got you covered. Going to have some exciting guests coming on as well, and we'll announce that on social media. Check out all the social medias. thank you for commenting. Got a lot of comments in here. Appreciate all that. So with that said, I will say go Bills and thank you very much.